Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday night fire, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Abishai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the Akwaf out there, the sincere sisters out there that are zealous, diligent, and on fire, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live on another Monday night fire. HBKN, Brother Azariah, Daria Wash, Shalom, Elder, Jermaine Dudkins, Joshua Brewer, Shalom King, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. We had Most High willing. Everybody had a beautiful feast of unleavened bread. For those that were looking for the Monday night fire, that is the reason for our absence. Prepping and for that mighty week that we had through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, and going through and executing it through the mercy and grace of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's why we weren't able to do the last two Monday night fires, but Most High willing, we back at it, and this thing doesn't stop, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Famine of the word, banning of the Bible, and more. Right? Famine of the word, banning of the Bible, and more. As we approach this end of the world, as we approach Jacob's trouble, World War III, nation rise against nation, kingdom rising against kingdom, as we approach the upcoming physical famine, when the sound of the grinding is low, economic collapses, civil unrest, turmoils, cities being locked down, entire nations being locked down, blackouts, robbery, purges, and all manner of debauchery and wickedness on the earth. As we approach these days, one of the most major prophecies to look out for is the famine of the word, right? Let's get that in Amos, the 8th chapter, right? The famine of the word. We're going to touch on some current events. In Israel, you have brothers that have been banned from teaching out there in France. We're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on other things that are going on. But ultimately, this thing, and what these societies do, these elites, these world powers, and it's ultimately set up from on high, is they have these testing ground nations like Australia or continent, whatever you want to call it, Australia, Europe. A lot of these testing ground nations, they become a project, for lack of better terms, and an experiment for these elites to see how the people respond to draconian laws and how they respond to austerity measures, how they respond to different legislation being put forth. They see how they react, how the people respond, and then they eventually bring that to America. So, what's going on in France, and we'll touch on it for brothers that may know or may not know, it's going to hit Canada, it's going to hit America, it's going to hit the four corners of the earth, man. Right? So the famine of the word is real. All right. So let's go to Amos 8 and 11, because the world hasn't seen anything like this before, man. When you have brothers out there throughout the four corners of the earth and multiple congregations, multiple camps out there doing the work in sincerity, shaking a hand, man, and shaking a hand at these demons, these strongholds, shaking a hand at these philosophies, these doctrines, these evil nations that conspire against the children of the Most High, and ultimately resurrecting the lost sheep of the house of Israel, man. And this is a threat to their new world order. This is a threat to their agenda. And this is ultimately a threat to the satanic forces that are operating through these principalities, man. So this Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing of the words of the Lord. Why? Because the word of the Most High is likened unto bread. It's likened unto water. So when you're deprived of bread and water on a physical level, it destroys your entire physical nature. It breaks your muscular system down. It breaks your nervous system down. Your body begins to eat itself alive, and you begin to slowly pine away and decompose. That's what happens on a carnal level. They do experiments on that. They see how people respond to days and without food and days without water, man. Their behavior changes. They begin to be delusional. All of these things happen. Some people look to harm themselves. That's without physical food. But the Most High has another famine coming, which is the famine of the word, which means the ministry that you see out there on the highways and byways that brothers do, right? The videos, live lessons, sit downs, traveling. You got brothers with unity camps. All of these things are going to be shut down and taken away, right? Verse number 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Who's the they, right? That's going to wander. The they are those who don't have the truth, right? Shalom, King.
Shalom, King.
Right? The they are those who don't have the truth, right? Everybody that has scorned, and it's not just those who don't have the truth. These are men who had the opportunity and women who had the chance to get the knowledge, but they didn't get it when the Most High presented it to them. So at this time, they're going to wait too late. And then they're going to try to find it, but they're not going to be able to find it, right? And certain brothers, they become staples, not only in their community, but also in their city. You know, brothers teach in central locations, chief concourse biblically, and brothers become a part of, the city, if you will, man. Like us teaching at the harbor in Baltimore, we're going to be out there, man. You're going to have the Ish Sugar spot. You had the old Ripley's, believe it or not. You got the Rusty Scupper down there, right? You got the old H&M building that was behind us. You're going to expect to see the slave ship. When you go out to the harbor, you expect to see these things, the paddle boats, right? You expect to see, people taking pictures. You expect to see these things. Now you expect also to see the Israelites out there. You expect to see them out there. We have become part of the city, man, for lack of better terms, as a standing pillar, an altar. And it's not just us, it's multiple camps, multiple congregations with multiple camps in various cities, man, all throughout this country and all throughout the world. So people are going to try to go find those different areas where they know those brothers are at. They ain't going to find it. They're going to try to log online and get a YouTube video. They're going to try to go, buy a notebook, buy flashcards, get an apocrypha, buy a Bible, order fringes, and they're going to try to, creep their way into this thing, but it ain't going to happen. The Most High is going to have this truth be hidden from the masses. That's what this means. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. And they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. And that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, O Dan, liveth, and the man of Bathsheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again. So people that set up these gods, in the ancient world, they worshiped these two golden calves, right? They worshiped these two golden calves that Jeroboam set up, and all these wicked idols in these high places. And today, the sin of Samaria represents what our people worship: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Roman Catholicism. People that swear and live and die by these things, they're going to fall and never rise again. And they'll never be able to get the word. Huh? So the Lord says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Let me get that real quick. At Isaiah 55:6. Right? We're going to touch on what's going on in the world too, man. Right? Like I said, you got brothers getting banned in France. You got brothers getting banned, going to different countries, man. You got Border Patrol inspecting people's phones and seeing if you're an Israelite or not. You got a lot going on, man. As anti-Semitism, right? Hopefully we could say that. Anti-Amalek, we used to say that, right? As that begins to take off. And it's not just America, it's global. Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye Yahweh, Bashmi Abishai, while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near, right? Operative words, while he is near, because time is coming where the Lord will not be near. The Spirit will be far away. right? The spirit is going to, and the wisdom and the knowledge is going to go back on high, you know? So take advantage of this truth while you can. Don't procrastinate. You don't have all day. You don't have all week. Any day it could be an EMP attack. It could be martial law. The sound of the grinder could be low. All hell can break loose, and the Most High can speed things up fast, man. So take advantage of this truth while you can. You have thousands of videos. You have brothers who have notebooks. They never looked at them. They have flashcards. They don't visit them. They don't read their apocrypha, right? They're in this thing for fame, vainglory. They're looking for conflict, debate, controversy, folly in Israel, but they're not taking advantage of the time that the Most High gave them to build themselves up and build their households up in the fear of the Most High by repenting and keeping the laws and commandments, right? But you got it, King.
Come. Shalom, Israel. Let's go to Psalms chapter 12 and start at verse number 6. Right? Exciting times that we're living in, right? Exciting times. With these times, you have to measure them diligently, right? You got to be able to see the prophecies heating up and understand that we don't have a lot of time here left in Babylon or the pit or in the land of Ham, wherever you may be scattered throughout this world. The time is coming short, and the Most High gave us a certain amount of time. So, like, you can't.
It's like, I think you're kind of cutting out. I don't know if that's me.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. You're kind of freezing up. Right? Yeah, he froze up a little bit. All right, Lord willing, the brother come back. You may have to leave and come back in this thing. Right? You on, Amos?
So, like, am I good on my end? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
you good now. You froze for a minute.
Come.
Right?
Am I good now? I'm better?
Yeah, you good. You good. Right? Talaki, bear with us. So this Psalms, you wanted Psalms 12 and 6? All right, brother, he gonna have to leave. He leaving and coming back. Lord willing. Right? While we waiting on the brother Amos, let me go to 2nd Ezra real quick, chapter 5. Right? Like the brother said, these are exciting times, man. Right? We almost out of here. These are signs that these prophecies are coming to pass. Hey, real quick before I get that, let me get this in Matthew 24. Right? Let's go to Matthew 24 and 14. Right? Let's see what the Lord said. It reads, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So the end isn't just going to spontaneously just happen for no reason. There are a sequence of events that have to go down before the end comes. And one of the main things is this ministry is going to be spread, man. And the Most High set this internet up for a reason, man. You have brothers that tune in from all over the world, man. You have Israelites all over the world waking up to the knowledge of the Most High. If you go to certain pages, if you look at the page, you can see brothers from Japan tuning in, brothers from the Netherlands tuning in, brothers from West Africa tuning in, brothers from other parts of Europe, South America tune in. They tell you how many countries and what brothers are tuning in. So this word is going out. And you have brothers that actually literally travel within themselves, man. You know? So the Most High has his word being put forth on a high level. And nobody can say, well, I didn't know, nobody told me. At one time, if this word was meant for you and you rejected it, you heard it and rejected it, man. Maybe you ran across a brother at camp, man, and you said, no, I don't have time to hear the word to the Most High. Maybe you were a scoffer, a scorner. Maybe you burnt that flyer up. We gave a flower to a brother. He turned into a damn backwood, man. Sprinkled his damn weed in there, rolled it up, and smoked the flyer in front of us, man. You know? So people take this word for granted. You skip past that video. It popped up when you recommended. And a lot of us saw that video, a video that said recommended. And you said, nah, I don't want to click that. And you clicked folly, man. Right? You clicked folly instead. Hey, maybe a cousin called you, your uncle called you, you saw somebody with fridges on at the grocery store. Hey, you saw this thing, man. Nobody could say that they didn't know. That's what the Most High said. This is a witness unto all nations. A witness for what? For this truth. For Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? And then show the end come. Right? Let me see if it's back here. All right, I think it's still coming back to the spirit. Right? So this is a big deal, man. A big deal. Now, this is what just happened, right? For brothers that don't know, I thought I had this in English. This in English. Boy, right? Salaki, bear with me. Thought I had this in English. I get this translate. All right, we don't speak French. Okay, this says anti-Semitism, homophobia, and warlike rhetoric. Right? Now it's war. These devils, they just throw these terms out there. Warlike rhetoric. See, there's a lot to say about this. But see, Jake, you can't have so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American men out there doing anything righteous. Right? They can go out there and they can rap about murdering each other. That's not warlike rhetoric. How come they don't say that these men who talk about spinning the block, pulling out a switch, shooting a brother, that's not warlike rhetoric. This is hypocrisy, right? These devils, these Amalekites, they own every major music, not industry, record label, right? Interscope, Def Jam, right? All of these record labels are owned by the so-called white man. And that's warlike rhetoric, man. Drill music about murder and violence in Chicago, New York, all that stuff is warlike rhetoric, man. But they don't ban that. But when you have men who push the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, now it's warlike rhetoric. This is the same Bible that these societies conquered the world in the name of, man. When the Spanish, when the English, when the Portuguese traveled to this side of the world, and they went down to Africa, they split it up like a piece of pie for imperialism and colonism. Then they come in the name of the Bible. That was warlike. That wasn't even just rhetoric. Those were warlike actions. Those were violent genocides committed on the entire world. But you didn't ban them. So you devils are hypocrites, man. You have exceeded warlike rhetoric. But now you got brothers saying, put the blunt down. Don't eat pork. Don't eat crab. Grow your beard out. Take care of your household. Come back to the Most High. Repent. Put away sin. Now that's warlike rhetoric. Right? So we see right through you devils, man. Right? And we don't need no glasses. We see right through you. Right? Shalom, King.
Shalom, King. Am I good?
Yeah, you good now.
Khan, yeah. Satan came immediately, man.
Khan. I got that Psalms 12 too.
Khan, the water. This is Psalms chapter 12 and verse 6. The words of the Lord are pure words. As silver tried in the furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Shalt thou keep them, O Lord? Thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. So the Lord had his words to be preserved specifically for this generation right here. Right? For this generation to seal the hopeful elect. Can you hear me?
Yeah, come.
For this generation right here, so the hopeful elect can be sealed up. Right? It wasn't sealed up for Esau, for Ammon, for the East Indian man, Elam. It was sealed up just for the hopeful elect. Right? That's why it tells you in Second Esdras, right, that the people who haven't seen the miracles, loosely paraphrasing, right, they're going to believe. Because the Lord put it in our spirit to believe. And with that mercy, he allowed men to rise up to be able to understand his words. Right, let me get Isaiah chapter 30 and start at verse number 19, Baba Shaw. Right, we have the luxury of having teachers, of men who of understanding, men of renown, to break down the scriptures, right, to give us that understanding, to give us the sense, and we have the opportunity to reach out to them. Right, it was hard to come across. They came out at certain times, right? It was like finding a needle in a haystack, right? But this is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 19. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer, right? So before we come into this truth, right, we all went through some type of heartbreak. We all lost everything. We all hit rock bottom. And the groaning of our spirit went up to the Lord, and we found out the truth in the right opportunity, in the right moment that the Lord has set up for us to find it out. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Right? So while we have the opportunity to learn from such men, we should take full advantage of it. Right? We should take full advantage of it, because eventually YouTube is going to be shut down. Like the brother was going into, what'd you say it was? Weapons of war?
Yeah, warlike, they're calling it warlike rhetoric.
Warlike rhetoric. Right? This is warlike rhetoric for us to get our people in order.
Right.
Eventually, it's gonna be a hate crime. Eventually, it's gonna be punishable by death. Right? Then the true servants of the Lord are gonna be seen. Right? So you have the opportunity and the grace that the Most High has given you to get all the understanding you can. Verse 21, and thy ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it when ye turn to the right hand and to the left, and when ye turn to the left. So we heard that voice saying, this is the way. And the Most High hasn't removed that spirit from you because we're still on this live. Right? We still have the opportunity to repent. Right? It's not like you're in a championship game with 0 seconds on the clock and you're at the free throw line trying to hit the free throws. Right? You're not at that time just yet. You're at the time where the Most High is giving you the grace period to get yourself right, get yourselves in order, get your houses in order. Right? Examine all you can. Like the brother said, it's brothers who had notebooks filled up with stuff and they cast it to the side. They're not even caring anymore. So while you have this opportunity and this leisure, it'll be a shame to let it go to waste. Because the same thing that's happening in France that happened to IUIC is the same thing that's going to happen to every camp that you watch. Every camp that you watch is going to be a bulletin board with those teachers' names up there saying, if you see them, put them to death. Or it's a bounty on their head, $25,000 in a bag of rice. So use this opportunity as the Most High has given you. Right, you got it, King.
Yeah, that's right, man. That things are going to get heated, man. And this is not an opportunity. Now, I'm going to say this too. I guarantee it, unfortunately, I'm just a man, but I guarantee it, a lot of brothers see this and now they kind of putting their tail between their legs. Oh my God, what is this about? What do you mean the ministry is getting banned? You know, what is Amos talking about? I didn't know that this was going to happen. I thought it was just burgers and cookouts and fringes and new moons and, you know, the Passover was no, this truth is more than that, man. See, when you come into this thing, you got to count the cost. You got to count the cost, man. Right? Let's go to Luke chapter 14. Like the brother said, it's going to happen all over, man. This is going to happen all over. This is the book of St. Luke. They're not going to ban the Christian church, right? They're not going to ban T.D. Jakes, Al Sharpton, right? These Roman Catholic pedophiles who molest children in basements, man. This is going to happen to the men of the Most High, right? This is Luke 14 and verse number 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether you have sufficient to finish it? So you have to take into account what things may befall you when you come into this truth. That's what it's saying. Like any investment in life, any building project, Any construction project, they weigh things in the balance, and there are certain budgets that they have to put into place, man. You have to pay for resources. You have to put people on a payroll. You got to pay for material. You got to pay for land. I mean, you got to pay for these things. You got to count the costs. Do I have enough money to pay these guys to complete this project? Because you might have all of the tools, but you don't have enough to pay the guys. Or you got enough to pay the guys, but you didn't count the costs to know that you needed all this steel for the support beams, you needed the glass for the windows. You didn't count the costs. You done built the whole building. Like, damn, I need glass. I don't put that in the budget, right? I can't finish the building. Now you got a building with no glass windows. It's unoperable. It's finished, man. You have to count the costs when it comes to doing this work. I may get put to death for this truth. I may get locked up for this truth. My family may leave me for this truth. My relationships may be tarnished and strained because of this truth. My job may find out that I am an Israelite. They may fire me. They may let me go. Finances may get hard and tight. My health may deteriorate. These are the things that you got to count, man. And ask yourself, once you count all these things, you say, okay, this is a wise investment. And that's what these businessmen do, man. These guys that deal with stocks and trades and bonds, they don't just say, I'm going to put $500 on Google, man. Some of these guys put money on Google before you knew about Google. When that come out I don't know when Google came out, right? But let's say the 90s or something like that. You had certain guys who counted the cost, man. Some guys visited the headquarters, right? They visited the board of directors, right? They checked out, who was part of that team. And they said, you know what? This is worth putting $50 down. Now these guys are millionaires, man, billionaires. They counted the costs. You got to do the same thing with this truth, man. You have to analyze everything that's going to befall you. And you do that by reading, right? You do that by reading what happened to our fathers. And everything that happened to our fathers that were righteous is going to happen to you, right? Can you endure what David had to go through? Can you endure what Paul had to go through? Can you endure what Yahushua had to go through? If you can say yes to those things, and you invested in this truth, that's what you're going to receive, right? It reads, less happily, after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish, right? Don't be the brother that began to build. You was on fire, and then this article came out about warlike rhetoric, anti-Semitism, and homophobia, and now you're like, I don't know about this truth anymore. What if my job sees me? I'm making money. I'm making good money. I don't want my job to see me. I don't want to go out there anymore. Right? And like I was going to, preface this, a lot of brothers are going to walk away, man. Brothers are going to leave. They're going to leave entire camps, congregations. They're going to go back in the world because they didn't count the cost. You're going to have brothers and sisters that don't know what they signed up for. They thought this was a game, and they're going to turn their head back on Yahweh Shema Shai, not understanding the things that were set up to befall them, right? Yahweh Shai spoke about drinking of the cup, to James and John, right? But you got it, King.
God, quick precept on that. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 24 and verse number 10, right? And that's what we were saying. A lot of people are going to show their true color and their true faith in these last days, right? When Esau comes down with the armies, the guns, right? The war dogs, whatever they may have to come and get the prophets and the servants and those who follow Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you're going to see the true measure of a man or a woman in that day, right? This is Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small, right? If you faint in the day of adversity, you don't have any strength at all, right? All these things are supposed to build you up to be able to endure this. Right, your prayers, your fasting, your conversations with brothers, right, your own dreams, right, reading of these accounts, right, these are supposed to build you up. Those are supposed to make your faith strong and withhold you from having that fear and that doubt, and the doubting of the Sakkuras come upon you, and you start thinking, what if the Lord's not with me? Is the Lord real? Are the prophets really who they say they are? That's when doubt comes in. And that's when you start to get scared because you start to doubt the Lord. Let's go to Sirach chapter 2 and go to verse 10. That's why reading these accounts are important, right? You don't just read just to read like it's a novel or a textbook in school, Right, I just read chapter 15 on I don't know, what's something we used to learn about in school? Damn, erosion. The white man, right? Right, we used to have earth space science back in the day. Damn, erosion. Right, what does that profit us? Right, that stuff got tossed in one ear and out the other. Right, so this is Sirach chapter 2 and verse number 10. Can you scroll up a little bit, King?
God.
Water. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon his name? So when we read these accounts, we're supposed to put into remembrance, like the scriptures tell you, remember the days of old, how the Lord delivered all of our forefathers out of the times of trouble that they were going through, how the Lord delivered all the men who called upon his name and the women who did as well, how we girded up our loins, we threw ashes upon ourselves, sackcloths. These weren't written just to be read. These were written so we will rehearse the same acts in the days to come, so that the Lord's name will be magnified in these last days. Right? The Lord's name is being magnified by them trying to shut down the truth, because now more people are going to desire the truth. More people are going to be out there thirsty, looking for honeycomb, looking for that thing that's sweet. And then when they get it, they're going to realize how bitter it is, man. And the Lord's name is going to be magnified then. Right? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. Right? The Lord saveth in times of affliction. Right? When all hell seems like it's about to break loose and there's no way you can get out of it, the Lord comes in a blink of an eye and saves you. Right? That's what we have to remember in these last days. Not the might of Esau with his weaponry. Right? How Esau can look you up and he can threaten your job. That stuff doesn't matter, because the Lord saves in time of affliction. The Lord puts it in your heart to remember to call upon his name at that very time so that you can be saved. So the more you read these accounts, the more you take the opportunity to watch these videos, the more you're going to put into your heart. Because when that famine of the word comes out, you're not going to have this sword right here. Right? You're not going to have it. It's going to rely on what you read, what you remember, and how you rehearse those acts in the last days. Right? But you got it, King.
Come on. That's right. It says in Isaiah 33 that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Right? So that's what's going to keep you stable, man. That's what's going to keep you rooted and grounded in the knowledge of the Most High. So kind of touching on this, right? Let's go through this. May not read the whole article, but again, it says should be in English. All right, anti-Semitism. What is anti-Semitism's the world definition? Speaking against the so-called Jew, right? That's anti-Semitism. You can't speak about anything that they've done negative. You can only speak great things about them. You can only praise them and say how great they are and what contributions they've made and what buildings they own and what investments they've done and all of that, man. But you can't say nothing off about them, right? That's anti-Semitism. Homophobia, you can't speak against these sodomites, right? You can't say this guy, hey, man shouldn't be with a man. And then warlike rhetoric, meaning you can't prophesy the downfall of America. You can't say that this society is going to be destroyed. You can't say World War III is on the rise. You can't say Yahweh Shah is coming with chariots. You can't speak on these things. You can't prophesy the end of this world. That's what they're saying. Warlike rhetoric. You can't go to Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, Isaiah the 14th chapter, the book of Revelation the 19th chapter, 2nd Ezra 13. You can't go to these accounts. If you go to those chapters, that's warlike rhetoric. And if I'm not mistaken, where did we see this at? This was a while ago. This was a certain, I believe they banned a certain part of the New Testament at one time. I can't think about where I saw that at. It was somewhere in the Gospels, right? Where you couldn't speak about the sacrifice of Yahweh Shah. Right? I have to find that. But it says, what is Israel united in Christ? The association dissolved this Thursday. So in France, allegedly, I believe it actually happened, they disbanded the IUIC out there in France, right? For what? Let's find out. Among the numerous offenses alleged, this association registered in Sienne Saint Denis since 2019 advocates, according to the government, hate speech against communities, women, homosexuals, and promotes corporal punishment to better teach its sermons. So these devils put all these strange words together, right? Hate speech against communities. So essentially, what is hate speech according to this world? Speaking the truth, right? Going into the Bible, telling the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, you got to repent. Come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, see how build up your faith, and separate from these other nations, right? All of that is hate speech. And then what they're saying, you're prophesying against, or you're speaking against women. What I'm trying to, in their mind, I'm trying to understand what women have to wear a dress. Woman can't be with a woman. A woman, you have to be submissive. You have to reverence your husband. You have to take care of your children. You can't blonde your hair. You can't wear blue contacts. You got to be in order. You can't be twerking on music videos. You can't be aborting your babies. All of that, I would assume, is hate speech against women. Tell them it's what they say, my body, my choice. Telling them that that's off. You know? And then you're going against homosexuals, man. Telling them, hey, look, a man is set up to be with a woman, and a woman is set up to be with a man. And they say promotes corporal punishment to better teach its sermons, right? Now, corporal punishment, corpus means body. It's a Latin for body, and punishment. So you got capital punishment, which is punishment unto death, Salakia. And then you have corporal punishment, right? So they're saying to better teach its sermons. So I just want to type this. I want to look this up real quick to see what they say about corporal punishment, right? Corporal punishment is a disciplined method in which a supervising adult deliberately inflicts pain upon a child. Why do they make it sound so bad? Deliberately inflicts pain upon the child in response to a child's unacceptable behavior or inappropriate language. Okay, well, so you can't teach, what is that? You can't resurrect the 30th chapter, right? The Lord said, beat him on the sides in Proverbs, he shall not surely die. So that's corporal punishment, right? Beating your children and telling your children you're off for being off. So this is a lawless society, right? This is a lawless society. So they got their logo up there. It says, Amos, you can cut me off anytime.
Con, I had a quick precept. Yardan saying he's backstage as well.
Okay, let me get him.
Con. Right, this is pure hypocrisy.
Right.
Madness. All these nations say that their foundation is the scriptures. Their foundation is one nation under God. Right, even in these other countries, they do the same thing. They swear in on the Bible. Right, they do their Catholic mass. Right, everybody was up in arms and crying a river over the Pope dying. Right, and they put out something a couple months ago that said the Pope died already. Right, so they're playing in our face. Right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. So you have, it's a just balance with the Lord. You got these other nations who do the exact same thing, but in wickedness. But when you have righteousness being pushed out in the earth, they want to shut it down. They want to close it. They want to say it's a detriment to their society, and it's dangerous. Right? This is Isaiah 5 and 20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So what they're doing is confusing the masses, right? They're confusing all the nation, right? So-called black, so-called white, so-called Hispanic, so-called Chinese, right? They're confusing them to put that the people who are teaching the Bible are radical and they're evil, and they're their counterpart, right? Instead of taking the time to understand what's really being taught, they read the headlines, right? The headlines generalize a narrative that they want to push, right? Because even back in the world when I was in school, I didn't read the whole chapter. I read the headline, right? This is the chapter talking about photosynthesis. I don't need to read it. I know what the chapter's about. And that's what people do. So they get a generalized sense of what they think they know. Right? What's wrong with telling our sisters to be women again? What's wrong with telling our men to be men again? What's wrong with telling our men to stop being sodomites and our women to stop being sodomites? There's nothing wrong with that. But can you go back to the other page, Baba Kashaw? Where it talks about the corporal punishment or behavior towards children.
Kind of promotes corporal punishment to better teach its sermons.
Right? So they have these books in school. You know, Priest Kahan is famous for having it, that GABC book. Right? They push all these narratives on our children. There you go. Right? The GABCs. No grown man is going to read the GABCs. This is pushed on our children. Right? Tommy has 2 dads. Right? These things are being pushed on our children, and we have to fight. We got to fight. We got to stand up for righteousness' sake. My 2 moms, it's crazy. Heather has 2 mommies. Right? And look
at this.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. But this is pushed off as what was it? Warlike rhetoric. Yeah, this is warlike rhetoric. Because we're combating the armies of Satan to raise our children up right. Right. And there was a brother who played in the NBA. His name was Kenneth Fareed. Right. He played for the Denver Nuggets. And during his draft process, all they used to talk about, look, it's always a Jake. Right? During his draft process, all they used to talk about was the fact that he has 2 mothers. That's all they used to talk about. How did it feel to grow up with 2 moms? How did it feel? What did you learn? And what strength did you learn from your 2 mothers? Like, this is the stuff that they push on our people. If you can look him up with his 2 moms, and then you got it, King.
God. Kenneth Fareed, 2 moms. He makes his mothers proud. I didn't even know this. I didn't know he had 2 moms.
God, yeah, he had 2 moms. Grew up with 2 moms. Who taught him to be a man? That's why our men are effeminate now. Because there's no men to punch him in the chest and get him right, man. Right? There's no men to correct men's actions. Right? Like the brother said, they don't want you to read Sirach 30.
Look at this. It's his mind all bad. You see this quote?
I'm going to read it real quick. I have 2 moms, and I love them both very much. I want all members of the LGBT
My
community.
computer freezing, or is that his?
That might be me. Can y'all hear me?
Gone. I can hear you.
Gone. It says, I love them both very much, and I want all members of the LGBT community, whether they are parents, players, coaches, or fans, to feel welcome in the NBA. Right? In all of our communities. This is madness.
That's madness. Gone. Yeah, and I going back to this real quick. I actually want to get this quick precept. Where I want to go to Acts, the 4th chapter. So this thing is getting real, man. This thing is getting real, like Amo said, man. This is going to happen all over, right? All over the 4 corners of the earth. And we're excited, man. We're not mad. We don't get upset about these things, man. Right? We're not upset. We're not like, oh, you know, hey, this further lets us know that we're approaching Jacob's trouble in the end of the world, man. right? So these are exciting times. These are exciting times. Can brother see me or hear me? There's a lag.
Come.
Okay, come. All right, this Acts real quick, chapter 4 and 13. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. Right. So Peter and John, they didn't grow up going to the synagogues every day, learning, how to write the Hebrew out perfectly, learning the Torah. They were fishermen, right? So they thought they were unlearned and ignorant men. They didn't go to that the house of Gamaliel and Hillel and all these different men to learn the scriptures, man. Right? So they was from like what you call the hood. Just like today, man, you got a lot of brothers. They didn't go to seminary schools. They don't have doctorates, right? They're not summa cum laude biblical historians. They don't have worldly accolades, but that doesn't matter as long as they've been with Yahushua, right? And that's how they look at us. Verse number 14. And beholding the man which was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against it. And they see that the Israelites getting healed, man. They can't say nothing against it. You got people, we had, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shad, was that you had a woman that got her cross burned. You know how many idols you have thrown in the harbor, man? How many strange idols and crosses and blunts and so-called gods that have been cast out and burned and trashed, man? All throughout the world, you know how many brothers are being healed by the word of the Most High? Former drug dealers, former murderers, former gangbangers, former Christians, former creeps, you got former sodomites, man. Pursuing the 1 Corinthians 6 and 9 on down. Former whores, right? Former strippers, former just Sabbath breakers, revelers, drunkards, but they're all being healed. And they see it. They see it. That's why it says they could say nothing against it. There's nothing that they can really do about it. Verse number 15. Now, this is what the Pharisees and Sadducees had to do, but this applies to what's going on now. Acts 4 and 15. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves. That's what these elites are doing. They're taking crafty counsel. They're conferring. What can we do to stop the Israelites from pushing this word out? We can't beat them toe-to-toe with the Bible. We sent our best. We sent our top scholars. We sent agents. We sent men of renown. I even went out there. This is what they're thinking, right? And we tried to threaten them, scare them. We sent drug lords out there, scoffers out there, spies. We sent beautiful women out there to seduce them. Nothing works. So they conferred amongst themselves, saying, what shall we do to these men? For that indeed a notable miracle hath been done by them is manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it. And they can't deny it, right? But that it spread no further among the people. Let us straightly threaten them that they speak henceforth to no man in his name. And right now, this is that threatening time, right? If we see you out there with a Bible, you potentially can go to jail. Right, the Bible is now a weapon of domestic terrorism. If you have fringes on, you may get deported. Right, if we see you out there, we'll deport you to where they sending people, El Salvador, to a prison camp, Guantanamo Bay. See, the threat's about to increase. Y'all bet not go out there and speak in the name of Yahweh and Yahushua. Those are hate words. So they're gonna what's the Amalekite? What's a real, like, if we the F-A-G-G-O-T word? You can't say that. If you call a sodomite a F-A-G-G-O-T, hey man, that's like the worst thing that you could ever say. That's how they're going to use the name of Yahweh while Yahushua. If we hear those names, because they told him you can't speak in this name, and the name that we speak in is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Your name is the Spirit of the Most High. Right? The Spirit of truth. And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all or teach in the name of Jesus. Right? We know the Lord's name is Yahushua. But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of God to hearken unto you more than unto God, judge ye. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. So basically, we're not going to listen to you, man. We can't help but speak this truth. That's all we have, man. We don't want to stop because you told us to stop. So we're supposed to shut everything down because of what happened in France. We just got we make a phone call. We have a massive call with all of the brothers in WFI. We summon, we try to reach out to everybody in Israel, and we all say, look, all right, it's over. And everybody turns the Bible, and we get them big boxes where you put your books in, and you turn in your books to the public library, your Bible, your pocket for all your notes, and you do this. I say, well, that was it. No, man. It says, for we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. Right? And that's the mentality that the brothers have to have, man. Right? I mean, we're going to push this word until the Most High say so, man. Till we give up the ghosts or the chariots come, man. Right? Until the Most High give us the order not to be out there. Right? So these things are manifest, man. And that's why you have this going on out there in France with the brothers in IUIC, man. Right? Where they shut down their French camp, man. Right through the spirit. Right? So we got brothers in France, right? And they gonna, and I'm sure it's other camps that got brothers in France, and they gonna start cracking down to you brothers in Europe, man. So you brothers in Europe, man, y'all got to be resilient. Right? They're going to hit France. They're going to hit the UK. They're going to start really, cutting down, man. Right? But brothers got it. Unless brothers want to go to a little bit more of this article.
The brothers is backstage as well. But I had a precept before we went into it.
Okay, Con. All right, let me get Yara down to the right. All right. Let me see. Okay, Con, brothers in.
Shalom, Kings.
Shalom.
Con, can we go to Psalms 109?
Shalom.
We can start. Shalom, Kings.
Shalom. You said you want what?
Psalms 109. We can start at verse 1.
Okay.
Right? And like the brother said, now you in too deep to be nervous or to be scared. Right? You in too deep. Right? That's the message we want to push, man. No scared men in Israel. Right? Or women, man. The women gotta remember the mother in 2nd Maccabees.
Right.
Right? You gotta remember how she encouraged her sons to die for righteousness' sake. Right? And Jake, we the salt of the earth, man. We can get that FAGGOTT word out, with a little season. You can switch it up. Right? However you feel you want to say it, but you can switch it up, man. You can still insult that man to know that he's going off.
Right.
Right? Sometimes you got to insult Jake to know that they're in the wrong. Right? But this is Psalms 109, verse number 1. Hold not thy peace, O God, of my praise. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with lying tongue. Right? And that's what they're doing in that article. Right? The mouth of the wicked is speaking against the righteous servants of the Lord with lying tongue, making false accusations, right? Causing confusion and hysteria, right? Twisting up the gospel, making it seem like we're saying things that we're not, right? They can pass me about also with words of hatred and fought against me without a cause, right? All we're doing is damage control right now. Right, we're doing damage control until Yahweh Shah comes back. Trying to establish order through the spirit of Yahweh Shah by using the precepts. Right? They're words of hatred. They fight against us. Not once have I ever seen one of these articles talking about the Ku Klux Klan. Right? Talking about the KKK. Right? These are unknown organizations now in these last days. I don't know the last time I heard anybody talk about the KKK. Or they're insulting the black KKK. Right? They have more hate than their forefathers and foremothers. burning crosses in their yards. Right? For my love, they are my adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer. Right? So when all this was going on, right, David gave himself unto prayer, prayed without ceasing, that the Lord exact vengeance upon his enemies. Two more and the brothers got it. And they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. Set thou a wicked man over him and let Satan stand at his right hand. So the Lord is getting ready to do a complete 180 on Esau, man. It's going to be like ancient Egypt times 100, man. Things we could never imagine. So he has Satan standing at his right hand. He's going to be the adversary unto our adversary, right? When that time comes, when the curse is going to be upon our enemies, man. So the Lord is seeing all the works that they're doing behind closed doors, their legislations, how they word things to make it seem that Jake is the most wicked, right? We see all this happening, but what we can do is pray without ceasing. That's our superpower in these last days, right? But brothers got it.
I got a precept. I got a quick precept. You could get the book of Psalms, chapter 12, Baba Gasha. Let's go to the mighty book of Psalms, chapter 12. This Psalm chapter 12 and verse, I'm going to start at verse number 1, right? It says, hope Yahweh, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity, every one with his neighbor, with flattering lips, and with the double heart do they speak. That's exactly what's going on, man. Like brothers are going into, you got bills that's going to be passed. You're going to have a narrative that's going to be painted, man. And for those that are just coming into the truth, those that don't really know what's going on, those that aren't armored up in the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Abishai is going to get overtaken, man. Maybe this is a cult. You know, maybe my mother was right. Maybe my grandmother was right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You know, that's going back to Mark, the 4th chapter, man. See, people are going to yield in his truth, but as soon as persecution arises, people are going to start getting offended. And that's what they're gearing up to do, to push the narrative of terrorists, right, and the enemy of the state. It says, O Yahweh shall cut off all flattering lips, and the tongue that speaketh proud things. See, proud things are lies. It says, who have said with our tongue we will prevail, our lips are our own, who is Lord over us? That's the thought of the so-called white man. Who's Lord over us? Who's going to tell me no? Who's going to stay my hand? Whatever I have the power to do with the stroke of the pen, I'm going to do it. Whatever bill I could pass, whatever stamp I'm going to make on that piece of paper to spread it between the four corners of the earth, whatever mischief they'll conjure up, they say, man, who's Lord over us, man? Who can stop me, man? See, the Lord hates a double tongue and a liar. Real quick, I want to get one more quick precept in the book of Psalms, chapter 5. Right, the Lord said he hate leasing. Leasing goes to lying. And who more lies than a so-called white man? Right, he's coming as a lamb, but really he's speaking as a dragon. Right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse, let me see what I want. I'm going to start at verse number 4, right? It says, for thou art not a God that have pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. Right? Like I said, leasing is lying, man. Anybody that's conjuring up some type of falsehood against you to speak proud things, the Lord said he's going to destroy all of them that speak leasing, man. Every curse they try to throw on you, backbite, every false, accusation they try to throw, anything they try to overthrow the ministry and to speak proudly and lies upon the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because we're called in his name. So when you come against the children of Israel, you come against the Most High. It says, thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord would abhor the bloody and deceitful man. And that's deceitful, to lie on somebody, right? It's deceitful to paint a narrative on people claiming, and taking back what was once stolen, to paint them out to be a terrorist or evil, man. There's nothing wrong with keeping the commandments. There's nothing wrong with being a child of God. That remind me of Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, man. Say he boasteth himself that he is the son of God, man. He calleth himself after the name of the Lord, paraphrasing greatly. So they know these things, and it pisses them off, and it makes them upset, and they're trying to take away, right, the word of life, because they already painted the narrative, right, through Christianity and Roman Catholicism and lies of religion, that they're the people of the book. But once we start to wake up and they can't hide their lies anymore, right, it's nothing else to do for them to crack down to try to kill us. Brothers got it.
Con. And I'm gonna read a little bit more of this article real quick about what happened to the brothers out there in IUIC, right, in France, right? So this is translate this to English. All right, it says so we read the first part. It says suspected of advocating warlike discourse. See, who would have thought of even putting this ministry? See, these devils are crafty, man. These guys are these devils are crafty, man. Warlike discourse of calling for hatred of other religions, right? The dissolution was published this Thursday morning in the official journal, Slovakia. The French branch of the IUIC for Israel United in Christ, an association registered in Staines, St. Denis since June 2nd, 2019, was dissolved by decree, right? The Lord said, woe unto them that write unrighteous decrees, paraphrasing, in Isaiah the 10th chapter, right? According to the latter, this branch of the American IUIC, which claims to teach biblical scriptures, organize events and ceremonies, promotes a message according to which the Black, Hispanic, and Native American populations are the true Israelites, ostracizing other populations by treating them as enemies. So these are biblical times, man, because the Bible calls the other nations our enemies, right? Now, let's read on. It reads, according to the text, through her actions in public, her sermons, or her publications, she provokes violent acts, and spreads ideas tending to justify and encourage hatred, violence, and discrimination against women, homosexuals, followers of other religions, and people who are not Black. Christ is a man of war. So here's what they said. The highly detailed decree specifically highlights the associations of social media posts, which regularly use the term, and brothers can stop me at any time, use the term war in its speeches, explaining that Christ is a man of war. Christ came with the sword to do what? To divide. Christ did not come to bring peace. Several posts from 2022 are cited as examples. I mean, that's all biblical.
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead, King.
Brothers, hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, why aren't they quoting the precept? Why isn't there a verse in Revelation quoting in Revelation 14? It's a delay, Salaki.
No, go
Why
ahead.
isn't there Revelation 14 posted in there? Why isn't Matthew 10 in there? Why aren't the precepts used in this writing, in this literature? They're using divisive language.
I think you break it up. Is it me?
No, it's
Yeah,
cut.
the brother breaking up.
Yardan, you kind of breaking up. All right, well, until the brother come back, he made an excellent point, because these devils know the precept, right? Exodus 15:3 says the Lord is a man of war, Yahweh is his name, right? Christ came with a sword, right? We know that's Matthew chapter 10, 34 on down, right? Christ did not come to bring peace. That's the same precept. So they're saying this as if these things are things that the brothers made up, as if this is their rhetoric and what they're putting out there, and these are their speeches. This ain't a speech like his brothers don't go out there and give a speech. This isn't I Have a Dream. This is not the Gettysburg Address. These aren't hand documented speeches out of man's heart. These are the precepts. These are the precepts. So these precepts is what they're fearing, man. These precepts are what they're fearing. And these devils know what they're pushing is in the Bible. It's on video. So they're trying to shape shift, right, for lack of better terms, and switch up the narrative as if these are inciting words of war and rebellion that aren't coming from the Bible. Right? I want to get a quick precept because I paraphrased it. Right? But let's go to Isaiah the 10th chapter. Right? So we see what you devils are into, man. Right? This is Isaiah chapter 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And that's an unrighteous decree. They literally used the word decree. It said these things came by decree. Right? So when you write wicked laws and unjust laws and legislation, you get judged by the Most High God. Now, what's the purpose of these laws? Verse 2 tells you. To turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Right? Because what these laws do is they provide security. And when it says to turn aside the needy from judgment, we're the needy. And if we don't have the laws of the Most High, then we can't receive proper correction and rebuke. So if you take away the Bible, the needy don't get judgment. Right? We don't get rebuke. We don't get correction. We don't get judgment from priests and men of the Most High that are out there in the highways and byways. When you take away the ministry from us, then all of the judgments that the needy get comes from our own belly. And we have to get our judgments from the so-called white man. That's why the nation's all jammed up, because every decision, judgments are decisions. Every decision done in our households and our families, we have to get that mentality from the so-called white man. That's what he says, corporal punishment, right? And all these different things. They're turning aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. And we got a right to know your heritage, man. You got a right to know who the name of your God is, the name of his son. You have a right to know that you have enemies. The so-called white man, he knows he has enemies. He goes to war. He drops bombs on Gaza. He drops bombs in Palestine. All of these people in their military, their navies, their air force, they're taught who their enemy is, and they wage war. But we don't have a right, and we can't speak about who our enemies are. We're the only people on the earth who can't speak about who their enemies are. But every other nation has been in global wars, literally global wars, documented as a belligerent with massive casualties because you went to war against your enemy. But we can't speak about who our enemies are. So they're taking it right from the poor of the people, and that widows may be their prey. So they could get into the minds of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women. That's what they said. They're getting on the woman, telling them, cover up, take care of your children, stop aborting your child, love your natural hair, reverence your husband, teach the young woman. They want our women to be praised to their philosophies and doctrines. They want these women out here twerking, man. They love when these women abort their babies. When they see that 70 million abortions since 1970, they get off on that. But the laws and the commandments of the Most High take them from being a prey and put them under the protection of the Most High. And the last part, it says, and that they may rob the fatherless. Without the Bible, we're robbed, man. Tell that Isaiah 42. This is a people robbed and spoiled. Our heritage, our language, our nationality, our security, all of these decrees that they put forth, the Most High gives you the reason why. You don't have to guess and figure it out. It's to take away, I can tell you, not to be long-winded, to tell you in Psalms, the 2nd chapter, right? That the nations, it tells you that they would break our bands and cast our cords asunder. So they're trying to disconnect us from the Most High, right? And that's where they're putting all of these strange words together speeches and rhetoric and corporal punishment and all of these things to take away us from the Most High. But brothers got it.
Come. Let's go to Luke chapter 12, start at verse 51. Right, and the irony of what they're saying is that we're coming in and preaching about division, but you see division all throughout the media. Right, it's been an ongoing stir up of race wars going on since forever, since I can remember. Right, when we was younger, we had the Rodney King incident. Right, not too long ago, we had the George Floyd and Trayvon Martin. Not George Floyd, I'm sorry. Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. Right. Then you had George Floyd and that cop, Derek Chauvin, something like that.
Right.
It's always been an ongoing stir up of division since the inception of this nation. Right. This is Luke chapter 12 and 51. Right. These are not IUIC's words. It's not Watchmen for Israel's words. It's not any of these Israelite camps' words. These are the words of the Messiah that everybody believes in. Didn't they just have Resurrection Sunday?
Right.
Where those nasty priests came around and fed your son those little crackers.
Right.
Put his finger in his mouth. And you said, oh, he did it by mistake. Right? Oh, that gets swept under the rug.
Right.
But us getting our houses in order is the end all be all. Right? It says, suppose ye that I have come to give peace on earth. I tell you, nay, but rather division. Right? The Lord has come to divide the goats and the lambs. Right? Those who serve the Lord and those who don't serve the Lord. Right? The wheat from the tares. There's no in between. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Right? The Lord is not a author of confusion. He's not Barney, where he's coming to have everybody hug and hold hands. That's not what's going to happen. Right? It says, for from hence there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. So even in the household is going to be division. Right? That's why your father may be in the truth with you and your mom and your sister and your little brother, they still in the world. It's division. The Lord isn't coming to save every Israelite in captivity. He's coming to get a small remnant and bring them home and allow us to rebuild under his jurisdiction with his laws in our inward parts. Right? Let's jump down to verse 54. Right? Because all these things are signs of what's to come. It's going to be sedition of men. Right? It's going to be nation against nation. And ye who have spiritual eyes should be able to see these things. Right? You should be able to see what's going on. Right? It was an old movie back in the day. They used to wear the sunglasses. I can't remember what that movie was called, but the guy will put on the sunglasses and on the signs it'll say consume, consume. And the people in front of them will have skeleton faces and it'll say obey. I can't remember the name of the movie.
Yep, I remember that.
Right? But that's exactly what's going on. If you have spiritual eyes, you can see consume, consume, obey, obey. The people with the skeleton faces. You can see the dead people walking around. Right? It says, he said also to the people, when you see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway you say they're coming for shower, and so it is. And when you see south wind blow, you shall say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye did not discern the times? Right? How can you discern that they're stirring up so-called white people against so-called black people? So-called black people against so-called Latino people. It's all a mixture of Esau's wizardry and witchcraft to cause confusion, right? And then at the same time, right, it's a just balance with the Lord. You got these coons on the left-hand side talking about, well, Jesus didn't come to divide. Let's all hold hands. I love my white neighbor. You're my white neighbor. Like we was at camp last week and or on the Shabbat. The brother asked, why do you love black people? And she said, because they're my neighbor. Yeah. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right.
Right? I love that they're resilient. Or she said something along those lines.
Yep.
Right? It's an ongoing cycle from generation to generation causing separation between righteous and wicked. And until Jake can realize which side to be on, you're going to be caught in the middle. And that's why the Lord said, those my enemies who I will not reign over them, loosely paraphrase, and bring them hither and slay them before me. It's going to be a lot of coons that are killed in these last days because they do err not knowing the scriptures. Right, but brothers got it.
I want to make a quick point. So I can make a quick point because you spoke about what these Catholic priests were doing that they don't speak against. There is a term, because I looked it up. There's a term called insufflation. Now, insufflation is what you can look this up. This is what Catholic priests do. It was a custom for the priest to spit into a child's mouth upon baptizing it. Now, the term is called insufflation. In religious and magical practice, insufflation are ritual acts of blowing, breathing, hissing, or puffing that signify various expulsion or renunciation of evil or of the devil. So this Catholic priest, they'll bring the son up and they'll hiss and they'll blow in his mouth 3 times to say, "Oh, I'm just getting a demon out of him. I'm just getting the devil out of him." They'll spit in his mouth and put their finger in his mouth and say, "Oh, I'm just getting this demon out of him. That's okay. Don't worry about it." Then they'll dunk him under water and then give him back to you. But they don't speak against that. But you got it, King. I just want to make that point.
Kanye, I was just looking that up when you were saying that. That's madness. That's wickedness. And people just so desperate for help and healing, so desperate for the Lord, so desperate and lost that Jay could do that, man. It was his pastor. I don't know his name. I don't know if brother saw it. He spit in his hands or he spit in a brother's face, trying to reenact, the clay with the Lord and spit in somebody's face, man. A pastor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
You see, yeah. So I mean, everything is getting lewd and disgusting and alt-right wicked, man. And people really got to wake up because you're just getting taken advantage of spiritually, by these grievous wolves. But I want to get this quick precept in the book of Isaiah, chapter 59 and verse, number 7. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse, I'm going to start at 6, right? It says, "Their webs shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the acts of violence is in their hand. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity, wasting and destruction are in their path." Now, you really got 2 paths. You got the path of the shepherd, where Yahweh is leading you, and then you have a other path, a lost path, a path in the wilderness, a path of your own understanding, a path of lust, vanity, religion. You got many paths. That's why it says in the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, ask for the old path. You have to go through that path like you read about in Song of Solomon, man, right? Where did the shepherd? Where do I rest at noonday? Supposed to be following the Lord. It says, we'll read that again. It says, "Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thought of iniquity." Like it says in Micah, the 2nd chapter, they can't sleep unless they do evil. Jake, you can't sleep, whatever the case may be. It's too hot in your house, right? The AC isn't on, right? Your neighbors are loud. The children are running upstairs, right? Your dog barking in the street. That's why you can't sleep, man, because your bills, you're thinking about your bills. Your woman left you. Your house is out of order. Hey, but the so-called white man in these nations, they can't think and they can't sleep until they think of a way to destroy you, man. You know what? The time is coming closer. Our time to the end is coming closer. You could really read the thoughts of the wicked in Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter. They know that they have but a short time, man. Don't think that these demons don't watch these videos, right? When it's spiked up sometimes 300, 500, 1,000 views, man, that's not all, Jake. You got agents on there, right? You got spies, right? Agent provocateurs. You got people that take notes. You got people that are scaling the times and watching, right? This is the same spirit of what was going on during the time of Yahushua, man. Yahushua had spies that were watching him. Paul had spies. Many men had spies to seek out things that they knoweth not. It said the way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. So going back to what brothers were saying earlier, the judgment will always be slack and it would never be done and executed for us in America, man. The only judgment we'll get is what, man? A foot on our neck, locked up in 35 years, right? Getting life, man. Whatever the case may be. You know, Jake quick to get the hammer thrown at him and getting locked up. And this is first time offense, man. So these things aren't, you know, something that just happened 50 years ago, 100 years ago. These are still happening today. The Lord said, the way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whatsoever goeth therein shall not know peace. And whoever goes in the ways of the philosophies of the so-called white man is going to be overtaken by it, man. You know, that's why brothers are telling you to wake up, you know, come back to the knowledge of truth and stand up for something, man. You stand up for wars and gang bangs and your woman. You ready to crash out over your woman and fight, you know, for your hood. Ain't nobody standing up for the Lord, man. I'm going to get one more in the classic, in the book of Genesis, chapter 25 and verse number 25. This isn't something, you know, a brother just got angry one day. We all came together and said, we're going to get some get back. No, this is an ancient spirit that the Most High put upon Esau and Jacob from even the time before they were born. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 25 and verse 25. Right? And it reads, it's like, before I read this, it's like the Lord put a spirit on you. You know, I'm sure every brother can attest. Before we even experience racism, you know, in our lives personally, we always felt uncomfortable around the nations. You know, you don't even have to have a reason to be offended. You know, he called me a nigger, right? He failed my job application. From the time you were 3, 4, 5 years old, you could feel the spirit on people, man. You could feel discomfort in the elevator. You could feel the stairs. You could feel an evil spirit that rests upon these people, man. The Lord said, he that is spiritual, judge of all things. And you could judge these matters, man. And the Lord said in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, there's a spiritual gift, discerning of spirits. You could tell when a brother's sad, when a brother on fire, when a brother hiding something. You know, you could kind of discern the matter, like David, right? It says, and the first came out. So like, I'm going to start at verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord, right, for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her, right? It don't say necessarily how long they were struggling, but I'm led to believe from the foundation of when the Lord started to grow them, huh? They were tussling, going back and forth in the womb. And they've been going back and forth from the time they were in Rebekah's womb to the time you are in now, man. It says, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? This is from the Most High. Why is there so much friction, so much kicking and tussling? Why is this giving me such a hard time? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated. The Lord said before the nation was even developed, made, and brought forth fruit, right, to number the stars of heaven, was even manifest. The Lord said you should be separated, man. So I mean, segregation is good, right? This portion and that portion is good. Them to have their place and us to have their place, that is good, man. You know, stop trying to join and knit something that the Most High has been tearing apart. That's why you Negroes get beat, man, marching for peace and love, like Martin Luther King, man, right? And Martin Luther King was a false prophet. And it doesn't matter if it offends you or you're upset and your mother was raised on him or whatever the case may be, right? The true prophets are the ones speaking, thus saith the Lord, not trying to join America with the blood and the atrocities of generations of trauma that never was meant to be joined in the first place, man. You're working against the Most High. The Lord said, if Salakia, 2 manner of nations are in thy womb, right? 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. That's Bible prophecy, man. Right. So from the time of Genesis, right, from the time of, you know, Revelation, this whole book is really a book about war, right? It's a book about uplifting, chastisement, but the end all be all is to set a crown back upon Jacob and for them to take back what was stolen, man. right? Anything that you have, right, that was built up when you read the book of Job, Psalms, Isaiah 33, or any book, really, when you dive into it, man, is really, uplifting Jake, but it's really vengeance, man. There's not too many books in the Bible that don't talk about vengeance. Yeah, you have accounts, right? You have, Proverbs, whatever the case may be, in different books, but a lot of the Bible, when you actually read it in the spirit and context of the Heavenly Father that places upon you, you understand how serious separation is. Brothers got it.
Huh. Yeah, I looked up twins fighting in the womb, right? Now it tells you um the video footage of twins seemingly fighting in the womb captured during an MRI scan is related to a condition called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, right? And he says that the mother goes through a lot of pain through that times, man. They say rapid weight gain and your body aches, and so that actually happens, man. That's what I said, like the brother read, if it be so, why am I thus? That's an actual thing that can happen, man, for brothers that say, well, the Bible's not real, and no, that's what's going on, man, to the brother's point, Also, we had this pulled up through the spirit. This is and there's more in this article. We're not going to read this whole article. Brothers can read the rest of this regarding what happened to the brothers out there in France regarding IUIC, right? But the point is, this entire ministry is going to get shut down soon, right? You also had a preacher, this from the ACLU, right? It says preacher prosecuted for anti-homosexuality speech, right? So now they're getting on you, like we brought out, anti-Semitism. Now people are actually getting prosecuted, man. Doing time, going to jail, getting locked up, like the brother said. You got the Homeland Threat Assessment for 2025. And when you go, and again, we're not going to go through this whole thing. When you look at the Homeland Threat Assessment, they kind of break down, or they do break down in detail, what are new threats that they're looking for, what things are on the rise, what are new code words. And this is the Homeland Threat Assessment, man. They have one for terrorism, right? For terrorism through the spirit. So they have I just want to read one part for looking into 2025. It says, looking into 2025, the threat of violence from U.S.-based violent extremists. And they call, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Black Hebrew Israelites are under, I'm trying to find out, I can't remember the new term. We have to pull it up. But there's a new term they gave us. We were Black identity extremists. Then we were radical Hebrew Israelites, and I believe are something else now.
Is it fringe groups?
I think it's fringe groups. And I had this pulled up too. And we could look it up, but extreme groups and ideologies. So they classify us as an extreme group, right? But it says, I think they call us violent extremists. I have to look it up. But here's the point. It says, the threat will continue to be characterized primarily by lone offenders or small cells, right? Like a camp, motivated to violence by a combination of racial, religious, gender, or anti-government grievances, conspiracy theories, and personalized factors. We particularly are concerned about the likelihood of violence motivated by developing domestic and global events, right, including the 2024 election cycle and the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, right? So pretty much they're looking at these things, man, right? The point is, small lone offenders or small cells that are motivated by racial, religious, gender, or anti-government grievances, conspiracy theories, and personalized factors, man. So that eventually puts us in that category, man. And that's why Trump, they're working on banning and deporting a lot of people that speak up against the government, illegal immigrants and other offenders, if you will, right? Other offenders, if you will. I just want to get one quick precept. right? I want to go to John 16. Right. So this thing is getting real, man. Right? This thing is getting real. Quick precept. This is John, I believe on 16 and 16. Right? John 16 and 16. A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Right? And a little while, it's the time we're approaching. And we're not going to be able to see the Lord. Right? Scriptures, like we're going to, are going to be bad. We're not going to have lives, man. You're not going to have brothers out there in the highways and byways. The spirit of Yahweh Bashmel Shah is going to depart from off the earth when it comes to pushing this word on a high level. So a little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, in a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Right? So we're not going to, what it's saying is Yahweh Shah would depart from the apostles, get put to death, but then he will come back, right? Be resurrected and ultimately deliver us. But again, in the spirit of this truth, it applies even to that, man. So take advantage of this little while before the Lord departs and the spirit of wisdom withdraws itself. Right? But brothers got it.
God. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 6 and verse number 6. Right? And in the spirit of building the nation back together, you always going to have, like we just read about, cells. Right? These cells, can you hear me?
Come.
So they got cells on the right-hand side and cells on the left-hand side. Right? Cells on the right-hand side are for the movement of Israel, for the building of the nation. Right? Gathering together the nation that's not desired. And then on the left-hand side, they call them sleeper cells. Right? In the government. Right? People who get turned by code words and they start acting irrational or violent. Right? They're trained. You have sleeper cells that enter into these camps to try to disrupt the wall that we're building without breaches, right? Right, sleeper cells, a secretive group of spies or terrorist agents that remain inactive within a target population until ordered to act. Right, so you got these men, they coming out and they trying to join camps. They come and listen, right? They engage and they build up a rapport with certain brothers until that allotted time where they're supposed to overthrow that organization, right? It was something on the right-hand side of it.
Yeah, it says a sleeper agent is a spy or operative who is placed in a target country or organization not to undertake an immediate mission, but instead to act as a potential asset on short notice if activated. If activated in the future.
Right. So this is the warfare that we're talking about. Right. This is the warfare. Right. Esau is a man of war. Right. That was his blessing. So what he does is he tries to scout out and do certain things to disrupt the nation building that we had going on. Right. It's happened in time past. It happened with the so-called Black Panthers. Right. Happened with the so-called Nation of Islam. Right. It happened during the time of the Underground Railroad. Right. You had people who portrayed as help to the ministry or help towards the mission, and they overthrew it. But unlike those, operatives or whatever they had back then, this isn't going to be overthrown because it's of the Lord. It can't be overthrown because the Lord wrote this from old time. And it's going to be fulfilled because the Lord is not a liar. Right? This is Nehemiah chapter 6 and verse number 6. Right? So this is Sanballat. They was coming and vexing Nehemiah. They saw the mighty works. They saw was no flaws in the wall besides the doors being put up. Right? It says, where within was written, it was reported among the heathens, and Gashemah saith that thou and the Jews think to rebel, for which cause thou buildest the wall, that thou mayest be their king according to their words. Right? So it happened in ancient time. Whenever we did something in unison for the betterment of our people, they come with that false rapport. They come with those lies. Right? And I think it was J. Edgar Hoover he said his biggest fear, or he wanted to stop the uprising of a so-called Black Messiah.
Right.
And Esau still carries that same motive. They still carry that same mind frame. We can't let these men think too highly of themselves. Right? It was not to be long-winded. I'm gonna get 2 more verses, but the Malcolm X movie, right? When with Denzel Washington, they came into the jail, right? Because one of the brothers got beat up, right? He was bloodied, and they didn't know if he was going to make it. And Denzel Washington said, "You better hope he makes it through the night for your sake." And then he pointed like this, and all the men turned in unison and started walking, right? And they said, "I never seen a nigga with that much power." Right? That's how they feel about us. They feel the same way about us, with us using the same scriptures that they try to use, right? But we use it in righteousness because we're the only ones who know it, because we wrote the scriptures through the Spirit. So everything that we're doing is what the Most High commanded us to do. And Esau, being the devil he is finding opportunity to bring down the ministry or to defame the ministry. But the words of the Lord are going to keep going out, right? Esau's devices are his own sword to his throat, right? I guess that's the terminology, right? The rabbit's got the gun now. That's where we're at, because now this truth is spreading like wildfire, and what they're doing is trying to double down and find ways to hinder the truth, find ways to stop the truth from growing. But you can't stop this truth, right? This truth is going to continue to keep going and going and going until Esau is overthrown. Right, this is verse number 7. And thou hast also appointed prophets to preach of thee at Jerusalem, saying, there is a king in Judah, and now shall it be reported to the king according to these words. Come now, therefore, and let us take counsel together. Right, and that's the same thing that they do today. Right, they go to the gates of the noble. They complain, oh, these men at the harbor, all they doing is ruining our Saturdays. Go to Times Square, these men doing the same thing, right? They already have, like the brother said, friends groups. They already got the web map all mapped up. This brother knows that brother. This brother is cool with this brother. These brothers talked 2 weeks ago on the phone. They have all that already laid forth. And there's nothing that they can do to stop this truth, right? They went and lied to the king, right? It was a couple years ago. Right, they said that a so-called Hebrew Israelite drove down to a Jewish area, crashed a van, and shot people up. Right, Israel is a small community, but it's big at the same time. Right, everybody knows everybody. You've been seen before. Right, it's a lot of faces that we haven't seen, and they up on the forefront. Right, it was a brother who said he was an Israelite with locks. And everybody was on there like, who the hell is this dude?
Right.
I can't remember what show that was. But he was on there. Ain't have no fringes on.
Yep.
Beard. He had the chin strap. Man, it's curtains for Esau, man. We see through the lies and we talk about the lies. And when the lies get exposed, what do? They go back and try to fix it and manipulate it some other type of way. Right, but brothers got it.
Con, I want to get this quick precept in 2nd Maccabees, chapter 4 and verse 45. All right, 2nd Maccabees, chapter 4 and verse number 45. Right, and it reads, it says, but Menelaus, now being convicted, promised Ptolemy, the son of Dormius, to give him much money if he would pacify the king towards him. Whereupon Ptolemy, taking the king aside into a certain gallery, as it were to take the air, brought him right to be another mind, insomuch that he discouraged Menelaus from the accusations, who notwithstanding was caused of all the mischief, and those poor men, whom if they had told their cause, Yea, before Cynthius could have been judged innocent, them he commended to death. Thus they followed the matter, right, for the city and the people, and for the holy vessels that soon suffer unjust punishment. Wherefore, even they of Tyrus move with hatred of that wicked deed, cause them to be honorably buried. So through covetousness of them that were in power, Menelaus remained still in authority, increasing in malice and being a great traitor to the citizens. Right. So I mean, Menelaus, he dealt firsthand with Ptolemy, these kings, and these demons and these other nations, man, showing them things, bringing them word, in communication, delivering up intel. Right, this is not a man you want around you, man. It says, and so through the covetousness. See, covetousness is really the cause of all sin, man. You want something, right? Whether it's woman, gold, wealth, right? You want a better job, you want a better life, you don't want to die, so you covet life. Anything that you shouldn't really move in to grab hold to obtain. Men are going to be covetousness in the last days, man. When food starts to be low, them shipments start coming in, jobs start, letting people go, things are going to get extremely hard. And they may ask you, do you need some help? What can we give you? Come work for us. Come be, this brother. Come be right there. Next thing you know, brother scratching their beard, kind of laying at the heart. You don't want to be a traitor, right? When you go to Second Kings, and I believe the 7th chapter, you had men, there was a famine in the city. They said, look, if we go into the city, we die. We might as well fall into their hands. You don't want to have a mentality, right, to join allegiance to these other nations. It says increasing in malice and being a great traitor to the citizens, right? And that spirit is going to come back on the earth. There isn't just one Menelaus, man. One Jason, one Alchemist, right? One Rhodicus, one Judas Iscariot, right? It's not just going to be one. They're going to be many traitors. That spirit is back on the earth, man. And these men want new things, right? I want to get this other quick precept. I got to find it, but brothers got it. Then I wanted to get right back in there because, I mean, traitors is all throughout the Bible. But brothers got
it. God, I want to get this in Revelation real quick, chapter 2, where I'm going to get the classic in Revelation chapter 2 and 10, right? It reads, you found it?
Oh, Salaki, I thought I was on mute.
Okay, Khan. This is Revelation 2 and 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Huh? So, Yahweh Shaitan said that brother shall deliver a brother to death. Backing up what the brother said, man. You're going to have men that deliver you up of your own nation. And John 16 and 2, it says, men are going to kill you and think that they're doing God's service. Right? So people are literally going to think that the Most High is with them, Slakia, as they persecute us and deliver us. This church, they were told that they would be delivered up into prison by the so-called white man, by the Romans. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to us. The devil, not the spiritual demon Satan, but the actual literal incarnate devil on the earth, the Esau, the Edomites, they're going to cast some of us into prison. This is part of this ministry, man. If you have laws that are set forth that are to abate terrorism and these things, but you have men that are part of that, you're going to get judged for that, right? By this society, man. Okay, here's your penalty. Okay, 25 to life. Okay, here's the death penalty. Eventually, it's going to be a capital offense, right? Treason. What's the other one? What is it? Treason, domestic terrorism, like I said. These things are capital offenses. So when we're cast into prison, the Lord said we're going to be tried, right? Don't expect to get cast into prison and then 2 seconds later you out. You're put there to test you, man. Are you going to endure? You may be by yourself. You may not have your cat with you, brothers with you, your woman with you. Your children may not be with you. That's going to be the trial of man for brothers that are cast into these prisons. Going to be tested, man, to see if you endure. You know, are you going to endure whatever affliction they may put upon you, interrogation? Are you going to denounce the name of the Most High? They may present money to you, show you a picture of your family, right? Get you to sell out, denounce the name of the Most High. You may have to eat food, sacrifice to idols, like I tell you in 2 Ezra 16. The Lord said, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, meaning for a certain period of time, you're going to catch hell in those prisons. But what matters is be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So even if you have to die, the Most High is going to give you a crown of life, man. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Right? So brothers got to count the cost, man. Like the brothers, you have men betraying people. You're going to have murderers. You're going to have brothers cast into prison. Men are going to get beheaded. This is just the beginning. Right? We haven't seen anything yet, man. Right? It's going from threats and laws, then it's going to get physical. Right? And things are going to intensify. They may post you at the job, man. Some jobs in the lobby, they got a TV out there and they kind of just show the news or, you know, ESPN or something. Then they're going to show your name, the name of the Hebrew Israelites. If you've seen these brothers, or they may list all of the congregations. Here are signs that you have an Israelite among you. They're hiding amongst you. If you see them, they tend to isolate themselves. They have fringes on the bottom of their shirt. They have beards. Look out for these guys. They told you that they can't work Saturdays or Friday nights. They're going to start putting that out there. And then these employers are going to start looking around. That's the brother John right there. That's the brother Joe. It's the brother Bill right there. He fits all of the characteristics. They'll put you into that office, man. You know, they'll look you up. You know, HR, they'll look you up because they got to get you out of there. They'll put you to the office. Is this you? And you're going to have to say what you got to say. You know? So this thing is going to get real, man. My brother's got it.
Khan, I sent you in Twitter something real quick. Pull it up real fast. You know, because a lot of people, y'all, you know, brothers are just scaring brothers. You know, this is not real, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, I actually, you know, got the documents, right? You know, what you would be put to death for, what the death penalty. And it's a bunch of things that you would break as far as laws in a society where you could get the death penalty. And I wanted to go over at least one or two. I know we wind it down, but nevertheless, most high willing the brother could pull it up, just showing you, you know, how real this is. You know, you're not going to be put to death, you know, for no apparent reason. You know, they're going to conjure up these laws and or already have them against you. Right?
It's like I just had it.
Okay, come on.
Let me see. Here it is. Can brother see the screen?
Yeah. If you could scroll down, it should say treason. But like you got kidnapping, hostage, you know.
Espionage. You might have to zoom in just a little bit, Con.
Yeah, there you go. Treason. Right? So, I mean, straight up and down, you could get put to death for treason, man. Right? Can we look that up real quick? Going against, right, the city and or capital or state of the U.S. Right? Being completely an enemy of the state, contrary to what they teach, what they believe in, and what they're pushing. If you're a rebel with sedition within that, you know, they will kill you. Right? You can read that, King. I can't read. It's kind of small.
So this is the actual U.S. law code. This is what they say verbatim in their documents. Whoever, I know it's small, I'll read it. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. You see that? That's that war rhetoric, levying war.
Come on, brothers, God, I just wanted to bring that out through the spirit. You know, and that's just one of many things. You know, there are many things, you know, that you could, suffer the death penalty to. And that's just the laws that they have as of now. How much more in the days to come? Brother Scott.
The brother said espionage. They'll charge you with that. And they'll charge you with all this, man. Because they falsely charged Yahweh Shai with sedition. And that kind of goes into espionage. They said Paul was a man that committed sedition, against the Roman Empire. So this thing is real, man.
One of them said civil rights movement that results in death.
We see that.
Civil rights offenses resulting in death. Right, that's kind of vague. I mean, that can mean anything.
Yeah, these devils, man. They can make up stuff. Conspiracy against rights. That's pretty much what it is. Do you prevent people from enjoying? If two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premise of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured. Hey, that sounds like you going out ruining people's days on the Shabbat. Prophesying against them. You're hindering their enjoyment, right? And their free right to walk up and down, what they call this, public property and all of that stuff, man. It says they should be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Right? If you conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured by him by the Constitution or laws of the U.S., or because of his having so exercised the same or, right? So that's that conspiracy, right? So they can throw all this at us.
And one quick point, anybody know anything about teaching, the word going out going to conjure up the demons. You could be teaching one brother, and out of nowhere, 5 minutes later, there's 7 other spirits, and they're all kind of getting enticed. They're getting upset. They're butting into the conversation. They're getting angry. They foaming at the mouth. Next thing you know, it's a riot. People are yelling. They screaming. They're trying to breach and attack you. So I mean, this word really, conjures up. It really blows and brings the elect, but it also raffles these demons up, man. These demons don't want to hear that. Like the brother said, you interrupting their day. Right here you are with a so-called mixed couple walking down the street. He don't want to hear that, man. That demon inside of him is going to get angry. That demon smoking that weed don't want to hear that. People shooting dice, you interrupting their sales, they don't want to hear that. Right? These demons are going to get enticed, in the words of the Most High coming out, and it's going to be a riot. Right? It's going to conjure up more demons, and all hell is going to break loose. And the men of the Lord are going to have to, go even harder through the spirit, man, to expel those demons and or cut them up through the spirit. So this thing is spiritual warfare. Just like you have a physical fight on a physical battlefield, it's the same way spiritual. And you don't close out for nothing. Just because the spirits and things are arising doesn't mean that you quench the fire of the Most High. Especially when you're in the right and it's justified, in the eyes of the Most High. You don't want to move presumptuously, with zeal and foolishness, but nevertheless, you want to defend the faith. You want to stand 10 toes down for the name of the Lord, right? You want to be an example. The Lord said we are ambassadors in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, I believe verse 20, man. The Lord said you are an ambassador. An ambassador is like the forefront and the face of a company, man, right? You got that lady, obviously she is not the face. So like she's not the CEO, that lady of Popeyes. Louisiana cooking. Right. She is not the CEO. She's just the face, the ambassador, the brand. Right. You have people that are the brand of something. And when you see the servant to the Most High, we represent the Lord. We are the ambassadors of the Lord. So whatever spirit of franticness, faithless, fearful, right? Any type of spirit, you could really, shame the ministry. My brother's got it.
I got a quick point. One of these, now this says, This is from espionage, right? Gathering or delivering defense information to aid a foreign government. Now it says, now this goes into prophecy, right? It says, whoever in time of war, and we know America is going to be in war soon, and persecution may happen in the stages of their wars with Iran, Russia, China, etc. So it says, whoever in time of war, with intent that the same shall be communicated to the enemy, collects, records, publishes, or communicates, or attempts to elicit any information with respect to the movement, numbers, description, condition, or disposition of any of the armed forces, ships, aircraft, or war materials of the United States. Now, hold on, I want to jump down. Hold on. It says something about books. Let's see. It's like I saw something where he spoke of books and documents. Let's see. Oh, here it is. So like I want to jump. Let me jump down right here. Same thing. It says, let's see. All right, or to any representative, officer, agent, employee, subject, or citizen thereof, either directly or indirectly, any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, note, instrument, or information relating to national defense shall be punished by death. So they could take the Bible and they can make the Bible an instrument of espionage. They could say that it's, you're using it to promote war of a foreign party, a foreign kingdom, right? You're promoting treason. You're saying that there's another kingdom and government that's going to be established on the earth. Then we can go to Isaiah the 9th chapter, Daniel the 2nd chapter, and they can say this is one of these a signal book, a code book, writings. They could pull up lessons. Hey, they could do a lot, man. These devils can get real crafty, man, with these laws. There's a lot of words. It's a lot of wiggle room in these things, The brothers got it.
Con, that's all I had.
Con.
Brothers gonna bring out. I get the classic. If brothers ain't had nothing else, Revelation chapter 3.
Con.
Or this is the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 3, in verse number 2. Right? It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. Right? And like we bring out, week in and week out through the Spirit, every brother should know exactly what you need to be strengthened. Why? Through examination. Examination isn't just during the Day of Atonement, right? Or before a feast day. Pentecost coming up, Passover just left, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's the only time you examine yourself to brush up your garment, man. If that's the mentality you have, you're not going to fare well or fare long in this truth. Hey, the Lord said, strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard. Right? So when you're going into this church of Sardius, right, they had a name to be alive, but, they were really dead on the inside. Brothers could really attest how it feels to have that flame flicker from time to time. It's fearful, man. Is the Lord going to blow my candlestick out? You playing with fire. You playing with the Most High at that point, man. If you taking years and weeks to get yourself to where you need to be, then you're not taking it as serious as it needs to be, taken. And it's only a matter of time before you get the outcome that you really want, man. Because if you really wanted to be on fire, you would grab and lay hold, right, to trying to be on fire, reaching out, watching, getting on the calls, man, listening to the scriptures. There's really no excuse in a day where the Lord blows out your candlestick. Why? Because the Most High is very merciful. Anybody that's fell out of this truth, it's not because the Most High just pull that precept out of context. He's just the king of terrorists. It's only a matter of time. No, the Most High is merciful. Brother, God knows what you were doing and how much patience the Most High has executed with you from the time, right, that you've been going off, to the time when he finally blows out the candlestick. He gave you all that time to examine, to pray, to get counsel. That's why it's so prevalent and important to take advantage, right, and lay hold in the blood of the Lord, man. It says, and repent, right? I'm going to read that again. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come unto thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right? And the Lord isn't going to tell you he's going to blow out your candlestick. There's no notice. There's no warning, right? And there's nothing to alert you, man. It's going to happen in a day what you think if not. A lot of brothers that, brothers have seen in this truth, they didn't know they were going to wake up without the spirit or go to sleep without the spirit. So you want to make sure that spirit is within you. How do you know the spirit is within you, man? When you want to do righteousness. When you care less in doing righteousness, man, and you start to drift back to the old man and your old ways, that's a first indication to apply this precept before it's too late. Brothers got it.
Come. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 1, and we can start at verse number 11. Right? So, brothers, be mindful and sisters, be mindful and watchful, and don't get caught up in Esau's devices and his cunning words and his descriptions that may provoke you to question things. Right? You're supposed to endure to the end. Right? You're supposed to be sound rooted like a tree planted upon the river. Right? Nothing should shake your faith. Right? Like the brother said, like the Lord is long suffering. Right? There's no reason why you should feel you're like them and you shouldn't do all you can to try to get closer to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right? This is Sirach chapter 1 and verse 11. The fear of the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Lord maketh a merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and long life. So the fear of the Lord gives you all these wonderful things, right? It shouldn't be grievous. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be damn distasteful. It shouldn't make your head hurt. It shouldn't make you sigh when brothers say it's time to read or let's go to camp, let's watch a video, let's do a Sabbath service. It shouldn't be hard because this is long life right here, right? This is the difference between dying damn tomorrow or making it to see the kingdom of heaven. It's the fear of the Lord, right? The fear of the Lord maketh the merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and long life. Whoso feareth the Lord, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the day of his death, right? If you truly fear the Lord, right, it's going to go well with you all the way into the end, whether that means you got to be a martyr for this truth, whether it means you have to be tortured for this truth, it's going to go well for you at the last, right? Though you may be punished in the sight of men, right, our glory is in the hope of the Lord, like it says in Wisdom of Solomon, right? And you shall find favor in the day of his death. You do have to be a martyr, right? Cleave unto the Lord, like it says in Sirach 2 and 3. It says, cleave to him. Don't deny him when all hell is breaking loose, right? Because we're just at the tip of the iceberg, right? You know, the catalyst when it's about to get to the top of the movie and it's about to hit the peak and the pinnacle where all, you know, like the middle of the movie where everything is good, right? You real in tune. We're about to hit that point. Prepare your spirit, prepare your household, and constantly endure. Right, the brothers got it.
Come. I'm going to get Revelation 22 and 12, right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So again, take advantage of the time that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is giving you, man. Don't abuse the grace. This isn't Christianity where the Most High just has his arms open forever, man. Right? No, the Most High has his arms open for a limited time, as we've been going into. This is the famine of the word that's coming. So if the Lord is coming quickly, you need to make haste. We all need to make haste to examine ourselves, make sure we're building ourselves up. You have wives and children. Take care of your wives and children. They should know what times we're living in, right? Your household shouldn't be oblivious to the judgments, to the laws, statutes, and the commandments. And the Most High said the law says that you have to teach your children when you're rising up, man. When you go by the way, when you lie down, man. You know, your woman should be in order and understand what's going on, man. Right? If you have brothers should be exhorted, man. If you have the spirit to exhort, you should be doing these things. If you have the spirit to give alms, to visit the poor, to visit the elders, right? The sick. If you have the ability to do these things, there are so many righteous works that our forefathers did, and they didn't go to camp, right? They didn't do what we do, right? Now they did somewhat in the spirit, but they didn't do what we do. But yet these men are still the elect. So go back and read what these Haggai's the elect. right? And he was a mighty exhorter, man. Right? Nehemiah's the elect, man, for exhortation and leadership qualities. And Abraham's the elect for faith. And all of our fathers are the elect, right? And they never said, give me the book of so-and-so and so-and-so, man. Right? And they wasn't out there doing what we're doing, man. You know, brothers understand. So make sure that you look at all of the righteous works that the Most High allowed our forefathers to do, analyze them, and apply them, man, because the Most High is going to reward us according to the works that we have. But that, we're going to close up, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach, Malak Bashai. It's like your brother Nakwam.
Brother Amos.
Shalom, brother Uriah.
Kwam Yashar. Shalom.